Allow, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, to my mind, the essence of the problem is the monopoly. You see, in the generation, there are some players who have come up, but in the distribution, it is mostly in the hands of the public sector. And as long as the public sector continue to incur such huge losses, the state of the affairs in the power sector would not improve. Now, unfortunately, in the distribution sector, not many companies like what Mr. Saxena also hints at, like jumping into the water where there are too many alligators, the power sector, the private sector has not actually stepped in. Maybe the generation was easier. And even in the generation, when they came through the 62 route, which is the caste plus route, that was an easier route. And therefore, in my opinion, this separation of content and carriage may, to some extent, bring in that competition, at least in the distribution, and that, I think, would be helpful.
Yes, sir.
See, assume that the consensus has reached and separation of carriage content is agreed, everything is there. And even assume that, the pooled supply is also available at a common rate. Even then also, the supplier who is, suppose the idea is to have more competition. Number of suppliers have to come to give freedom of choice to the consumer. So the supplier who is getting the supply from the even pooled supply also, where is the competition there? Competition will be there only if value addition services are there. And if you see the experience which most of the speakers are referring to UK, there suppliers are not isolated individuals or companies. They again, mostly if you see the experience, they are the people who are already there in the market with other services, just like gas supplier. So those fellows, pooling these services together so that they can get some benefit, some margin, and give some incentive to the consumer, then only they can survive. So that is there. And backward integration also has taken place. If you go to Spain or UK or any other European country where this separation of carriage content has been successful, it is there only because of the pooled services, and they are not standalone only electricity supply business is there. They are combined together so that they can pool the resources and get that. And another factor is there, backward integration is there. That means the suppliers are nothing but they are some way they are the extended services of generation companies. That means the generation companies themselves are having these are ancillary companies indirectly or directly and giving supplying electricity to the consumers. That means again backward integration taking place. So our regulatory system, will it be possible to again allow backward integration? That will be again it will be a question. So here, even if I am assuming all the things, even then also bringing competition will be difficult in the practical situation. So let us be practical. That first roadmap has to be there, and assume and be clear that you cannot, suppose Telangana is a very small state. Even then we cannot start the separation of carriage content in one go in the entire state. We have to see. There are so many consumers.
It has to be graded.
Free consumers, subsidized consumers, there are so many consumers.
Khan, thanks for that intervention. I just want to say 3 quick points. Verma ji, ye sunne wali baat hai. Recently, for short term, I had to take a premises on rent in London, outside London. We're doing a conference from Nilia. So the fellow came and asked me, he says, what gas do you want? I said, what do you mean, what gas do I want? No, you have a choice. British gas, this, that, ye, wo. And I said, okay, British gas, sounds good. And what about electricity? I said, what do you mean, what about electricity? Well, you can get Aeon, you can get this, you can get that, you can get gas stuff. So they are giving you a choice. You select which one you want, and then you take the service from them. And you are absolutely right that they are giving value-added services. They're basically integrating various economies of scales and all that, and they're doing that. The second intervention I want to make is the late Mr. Rajiv Gandhi gave me the pleasure of an audience. It was absolutely accidental. I went for a cup of tea with him. So बातचीत कर रहे थे, तो I said, what do I ask this guy? He's, former Prime Minister, is about to go in for re-election. 91 की शुरुआत की बात थी. तो मैंने कहा, sir, what is the plan? He said, Harry, what are you talking about? I said, sir, what is the plan? मतलब देश के लिए क्या plan है? Now, he looked at me and he sipped his tea, put it down. He says, do you want an honest answer? What time horizon are you looking at? I said, sir, 5, 10, 50 years. कहते सच्चाई की बात तो ये, we have no plan. No plan. Now, he was honest enough to say that. And I respected him for that. The fact of the matter is, we are not doing long-term planning. And ultimately, I have 4 or 5 issues I'm just going to throw up, and then I'm going to request the microphone to be given to Mr. Mehta, who has a question. Why can't we just have coal de-licensed, de-nationalized, just let it be run like a normal commodity? क्या चक्कर क्या है? I don't understand. Why Coal India has to be, and what is this nonsense? क्या हो क्या रहा है? Second thing is, why do you have a situation where first you don't get the coal? Now the coal walas were telling me day before yesterday, Coal India, Mr. Bhattacharya had sent them. They were saying, you know, we used to have no coal, now we've got 7 million, 8 million, 10 million tons of coal, like nobody's buying. Phone आ रहा है, भैया वो rake मत भेजो. The gentleman concerned is saying, don't send a rake, we don't want coal because there's no power. So what is happening in our country? On the other hand, we have power cuts. On the other hand, we don't have coal. On the other hand, we have universal service obligation. कि भाई, the distribution company must service all the consumers. Poor consumer is not getting serviced. So this whole thing is getting a little, shall I say, spinning out of control. The last thing, Mehta Saab, आपका mic आ गया? Mic. The last thing I wanted to share with you is that there is a contradiction. Imagine I'm in the shoes of Mr. Biswal, or the NTPC chairman. I would have a problem because I've got these long-term contracts and I'm covered by this Sarkari subvention business because they were government-controlled distribution companies, as was mentioned by Khan Saab. But the moment I am, for want of a better word, disenfranchised or disintegrated into a carriage and content, and I'm a chota sa company which doesn't have the cash flow, how will he, poor fellow, what does his lenders say for his future program for expansion? वो कहेंगे यार तुमको हम पैसे क्यों देंगे? You don't have a buyer. वो तो buyer ही नहीं है. So my standard joke nowadays is, मट्टी के लड्डू, जो खाए वो पछताए, जो नहीं खाए वो पछताए. So वर्मा जी, मट्टी के लड्डू जो खाए जो पछताए और जो नहीं खाए वो पछताए. क्यों? जिसने पावर प्लांट लगा लिया.
I want to make a point here.
Of course, sir. एक second. I just finished my little anecdote, but practice किया sir, rehearsal करके आया हूँ मैं, ये वाली बात. The point is, the fellow who has set up the power plant and has got a coal mine and is running it, his coal mine is gone. Now he has to go and buy back his own coal mine through an auction. अब वो auction करके उसको नहीं मिला, तो दो बातें होंगी. उसको कहीं और से खरीदना पड़ेगा. There are situations now where people who had their own mine which is gone are now buying from Coal India from the same mine that they had invested in. ठीक है सर? अब Coal India उनको उसके भाव में supply कर रहा है. Now the fellow is, if you want to have the coal and you want to have linkage, you must have a long-term PPA. Now, what is this here? अब वो long-term PPA वो sign करने को तैयार नहीं, तो I am going to take Gopal Saxena, send 2 fellows with a shotgun, sign my long-term PPA. मुझे वहाँ coal mine मेरा allot हुआ है. जिसको allot हो गया, उसके पास long-term PPA नहीं है, वो भी मर गया. जिसके पास allot ही नहीं हुआ, वो तो वैसे ही मर गया. जिसके पास coal mine भी है, allotment भी है, सब कुछ है, वो नहीं PPA भी है. भगवान की लीला बहुत बरस गई, उसके पास पेमेंट नहीं आ रहा है. पेमेंट ही नहीं आ रहा है. मैं तो सब
Sorry, it's a very small observation I would say. As a basket, the entire power sector is failing. How would, by removing the floor of the basket, it's going to help? I don't understand it. You do a separation. That's what I'm saying, that by doing separation when the problem is existing.
One thing we have ignored during the last 3 days is a very strong opponent of your proposal for separation of carriage and content. And that opponent had opposed the act also originally. Every law is a social contract, and unless you bring everybody on board, there'll be problems. The employees of the erstwhile SEBs have been out of our discussions. They automatically got shifted to the public sector undertakings, the companies, unbundling, whatever you did. You go to the site of the All India Power Engineers Federation and read their views about separation of content and carriage. They're opposed to it tooth and nail. This amendment, I said in Delhi in your conference, is not coming in a hurry. Somehow we think that they are irrelevant. They are the people who prepare the papers. As a regulator, I said we'll appoint franchises. So they drag their feet. So the commission prepared an advertisement and gave it to the company. They had to issue the advertisement. They ensured that there is no response. Then we again issued the advertisement. And then they rigmarolled that it will not be workable. Could not do it. For 3 years I tried and could not do it. Ignoring this important actor in the game will not get us anywhere. And we are not discussing it at all.
I want to just tell one thing about this giving cheap power to lifeline consumers. You can decide up to 100 units and agriculture. And it seems that it is a solution. Let's take case of Maharashtra. Maharashtra has 2 crore 10 lakh consumers, which include something like 25 lakhs agriculture. They contribute only 35% revenue. And 1 megawatt and above consumers contribute rest of the revenue. So if you were to even do this allocation, it's not going to solve your problem. Because what are you going to do is agriculture you are going to say we'll give you very, very cheap power. But if you want to give that power, then what happens that for industry, you will have to start from a stack of the most expensive power. That means you will start with 5 rupees, go up to 10 rupees. So what will happen? Because today's cross-subsidy model you are trying to solve by this method, it is wrong. In fact, FO had considered this, and what we had suggested, limit it only to the lifeline consumers. That is not a problem at all. Because if you were to see, but if you don't do it for agriculture, because agriculture, if you want to do it, it is not possible. That is the difficulty.
Tried out in Andhra Pradesh by TL Sankar. Mr. Harry, I want to share one case about one incident, one case that you're saying that the power is available, coal is available, but distribution company is not supplying power and they are doing load shedding. There is one case which came to tribunal where the distribution company imposed power cuts on industry on certain days because they want to supply to agriculture. And these consumers arranged power in open access, and the distribution company then imposed the cross-subsidy surcharge of 2 rupees or something on that. So they went to the commission and commission upheld. They said, yes, as per the law, they have to pay the cross-subsidy surcharge as per our regulations. When it came to tribunal, we interpreted the act and we said, it was the duty of the distribution company to supply power. They failed to supply. They didn't buy power. Now these people have arranged power. It has not caused any loss to the distribution company because they were not ready to supply power to them. So no cross-subsidy surcharge should be imposed on them. So if distribution company, because of the financial constraint, they were in a better position to buy power and give than the individual consumer. They did not because of the obvious reason. So if they want to impose cuts, let them impose because of financial reason, and let the industries then draw in the open access, and no cross-subsidy surcharge should be imposed on that.
Talking about cross-subsidy surcharge, sir, it's supposed to come down, but apparently it's going up. I don't know why. That is also against the national tariff policy you're talking about.
Even section 61 says, out of the 9 guidelines, one of the guidelines is that the cross-subsidy should be
Going down. वो भी नहीं हो रहा है.
See, that is the real point. That is, you can't implement open access unless you are successful in bringing down cross-subsidy surcharge. That has not happened.
with,
Now separation of wires and content is yet another step. It is going the same in between government trying to issue that order, 1 megawatt and above are all deemed open access consumers. Why is it that we are not going into the basic problem? It is possible for governments to proactively solve this problem by, as somebody suggested, agriculture responsibility I take. But the hard reality is that the state budgets are all in deficit. State governments do not have the money, they're already running a deficit.
But Mr. Raja, where is this going? ये तो debate from 5 साल से सुन रहे हैं. Where is it going that the states are losing more and more and more money? Every 4 years you have a bailout, every 5. You used to have a 10-year bailout, now bailout is happening in 4 years.
Okay, I give the example of Maharashtra, very roughly. 55,000 crores is the MSCDCL annual revenue requirement. No, I'm loud enough.
You are brilliant, but would take the mic next to you, na? Why do you want to take all the trouble?
55,000 crores is the annual revenue requirement of MSCDCL. State government of Maharashtra gives a direct subsidy to MSCDCL of the order of about 6,000 crores, around 5,000 and odd crores for agriculture and another 600, 700 crores for power loom sector. Over and above that, there is a cross subsidy which is roughly about 8,000 crores. So 8 and 6, 14,000 crores out of 55,000 crores is subsidy. Now, the way to introduce open access is this cross subsidy of 8,000 crores must also be given as a direct subsidy in phases or whatever it is.
Which means the government should now fund private sector coming in. Are we talking politically?
No. And even when the Electricity Act 2003 came, even one reading of the Act, everybody will know that the state discoms cannot continue the way they are. They are expected to have re-engineered themselves. They have not done it. And now by taking a 5-year time, are they going to do it? No. Change is always painful. So that re-engineering has to take place either by force or by political consensus. But with this financial package. And since state government budgets are all in deficit, the center should also get into it in a proactive fashion. If you do this, I will pick up 50% of the burden or 80% of the burden, etc., etc.
I just want to supplement what Raja has said and fully support. The cross subsidy is not the best way of subsidizing a low-end consumer, agriculture and the PPL families. I have been suggesting even in the forum of regulators that you eliminate all cross subsidy surcharge. Instead, you impose higher cess or electricity duty on high-end consumers and raise that resource to subsidize the agriculture and others.
But that's already there.
Away more, kind of, if you're actually imposing a higher cess or some kind of a charge, then would it not then make them even more to go away from the regulated structure?
No, how does it help? Because electricity duty will go to the state government coffer.
And they can subsidize directly the...
Achha, you will get the money back from the...
So I am supporting Raja.
we are talking about national, we've forgotten about a provision in the national tariff policy which says that, clearly says that state government can finance this subsidy under section 65 by increasing the electricity duty, what Mr. Panjab has said, by increasing the electricity duty and other government taxes to finance this cross subsidy under section 65. So what Mr. Panjab says is already provided in the national tariff policy.
See, like in Maharashtra, he gives the example, the electricity duty is collected by MSCDCL, and when the government says we are giving you subsidy for agriculture, it is actually money with MSCDCL. They say now you adjust. So already there is a sufficient burden of electricity duty, and how much more burden can you again put?
Also they collect in Bombay, sir. Bombay may be electricity duty collect ho raha hai.
No, Bombay is a different district because...
no, but they collect and they give it to the state government, sir.
No, see, Bombay that will also cross-subsidize as MSCDCL.
Correct.
Because they are paying for 500 megawatt of standby charge.
Yeah.
That subsidy is also there. As I'm not getting into it, it's a very specific thing.
Can I?
But the more important issue comes is that the agriculture is something which you have to cross-subsidize, and who's going to do that? Because the Electricity Act 2003 clearly said in 3 years, regulator shall eliminate cross subsidy. But because of the pressure of the left parties, UPA changed that in 2005 amendment. They have said it will not be eliminated, it will be reduced. It will be reduced. So after that, there has been no reduction.
It's going up, sir. It's increased.
That's what is happening. So now we are dealing with a situation where there are only political answers. So if you are asking regulators, please find a solution. So I don't think we can find a solution. No, no, it is not final.
It is not final, but they have provided that the old system. Initially, they have given the marginal cost of power purchase. Now they say to average cost of power purchase. Then they also say that it should limit it to 15% now. 15% of the tariff of that category whom cross should be charged. So it means that the law also provides that. Law is not against it. That you should not charge.
Another point is 14,000 crores, 6,000 direct subsidy and 8,000 cross subsidy. If I ask the question, where is it going? It is going only to 9 districts in Maharashtra. It's basically going to the sugarcane cultivators. That's the political economy. State to state, it will be different. But there's also a political economy. That is, this is also like a budget where you're picking somebody's pocket and feeding somebody else's pocket. So this 3 lakh crore outstanding loan of discoms can be seen in another way. That is a subsidy being given by one section of society to another section of society, except it is not explicit. It's a kind of a hidden subsidy.
And that's why you use that language about
Sir,
deceit
with your
and stuff.
permission, may I throw another cat into the bag?
Why not? Why not? Cheers.
You know, in normally such discussions, a lot of talk veers around to the agricultural side of supply and the subsidy that is given towards agriculture. So that's a very good way of looking
I know
at
you're
it.
coming to Delhi.
Now you come to Delhi where there is no agriculture. Okay, so, and this is something which I was discussing with Mr. Biswal because, you know, we don't pay, then there is always threat that they will regulate, etc.
Oh, he's very
etc.
tough, Biswal.
Yeah, the problem is there is no agriculture, so I can't blame it on some monkey sitting over there, agriculture ko ja raha hai, agriculture to hai nahi yahan par. So what happens? Mr. Biswal also agrees that at the heart of the problem is tariff setting. I have brought down losses to 10%. I mean, I can't go below that. So what is the efficiency that I now need to bring in? The efficiency, my distribution costs are the lowest in India. I can't go below that. So the only thing that I do is either increase the tariff or reduce the cost of power. Mr. Biswal says he cannot reduce the cost of power. So what do we do? And then every year, there is a 3,000 crore regulatory gap. Correct. Correct, sir. No, I agree with you. What I meant is, and
This is the brilliance of a finance man.
No,
He's
3,000.
never to blame for anything.
Yeah.
But yet he'll get his way.
No, but he said 3,000 crores gets added to the regulatory assets of Delhi year on year. Somebody has to find the money somewhere, na?
But a big suspicion comes whether as far as Delhi is concerned, the high-cost PPAs were signed as part of the Commonwealth Games preparation.
Sir, that is incorrect, sir. That is incorrect. These PPAs were signed when Dadri and all these plants were coming up. Everybody knew that the demand of Delhi is going to rise. Delhi's demand is rising consistently, 3 to 4% energy consumption per year. Up till last year, peak load growth was 5%. So it's just that the coal prices have gone up. It's just that there are so many other problems.
See, one of the things with Delhi is that your peak demand crosses 6,200. Now, but that happens only in summer months. Now you have got all long-term PPAs which are base load. In fact, if you have where to have a peaking type of, it's not your fault. It is a complete fault that we don't have a peaking power station.
Exactly. Now,
And in fact, the tariff, if you see NTPC, the new plants which have come, CRC has determined, those tariffs will keep going up.
Exactly, sir. That's
They'll
the whole
just
point.
keep going up. I can tell you that.
That's the
and
whole
also
point.
then there will be additional cap.
Acha, and this,
Capitalization. So no, we are not blaming. I'm saying this is reality under Section 62, cost plus, your tariff will go up. There's nothing wrong, but nobody wants to buy your power now, no?
sir, I can only say in defense. I know. Delhi. No, but sir, look at the irony of it. In deference to the government of Delhi, let me state, CEA projections right from 2004 onwards consistently have said 8% growth year on year. Poor Delhi government, they will be forced to secure supply. Now what happens is 8% year on year growth does not happen. At some point of time, this whole thing is going to collapse. No?
So I don't think there is very large difference.
Which is important, at least with hindsight, this 25-year long-term PPAs with both fixing quantity and price, that doesn't fit into any
It doesn't.
economic principle.
It doesn't work. Very clear.
Simply doesn't work. I have done contracts in other sectors where you always have a meet or release clause. That is, if you try to fix both quantity and price, there is absolutely no...
May I suggest you have a session with Mr. Biswal if he'll allow and release some of the discounts on the release clause.
You need to have meet and release. I mean,
Yes, Rakesh ji.
I think there is nothing wrong in having the long-term PPA as Delhi has done, but only thing is that in choosing the power plants from which they have to do PPA. Because if they were having more hydro in their portfolio, which is where the generation pattern
In
is
summer.
suiting the Delhi's load, then probably this problem may not be there. So much surplus energy.
Sir,
Because there
sir,
are
can I ask a
surplus energy
question?
Mainly in the off-peak hour.